Hey guys, today's session is about creating chat agent using AWS Bedrock service using WebSocket connection. Why WebSocket connection? Because it is real time, it is fast. Rather than making new connection for the REST API every time, we can use WebSocket, which is making connection on backend to the AWS API gateway, and then in real time we send message to Bedrock model and then get the response. These are the resources which are needed for setting up this demo. We need 3 lambdas. Connect function is for creating connection and adding this connection ID into DynamoDB table. Disconnect for disconnecting WebSocket connection and removing item from DynamoDB table. Send message function is a default route where we'll invoke Bedrock model, get the response and send back. API gateway is responsible for managing WebSocket connection. Then DynamoDB for this table will store connection IDs, and we'll use Amazon Titan model for this demo. And these are the permissions, like connect lambda need DynamoDB access. Again, for disconnect lambda need DynamoDB access, and send message lambda will need API gateway permissions, Bedrock permissions, DynamoDB, and inline policy for execute API permission. Okay, let's go to AWS console. So let's create lambda first. Create function, connect. Then I will use latest Python runtime. It is good to have because it will have latest dependency. The permissions which I showcase on Visual Studio, right? So these policies I have already added and created role for that. So I will use same role. For connect, I will use connect role. Then creating another function, disconnect. Third is send message. Send message role and create function. Okay, now let's copy the code. Okay, I will explain the code in connect.py. So here we are actually creating DynamoDB client using Boto 3. Okay, so my table is WebSocket connections, and I will use this connection ID partition key. Okay, so I will store connection IDs every time when end user makes WebSocket connection. That connection ID is stored into this DynamoDB table. For disconnect, it is opposite to connect. Instead of storing, we are removing connection IDs. This send message .py. So this file is default route. So here in this function, what we are doing is we are creating Bedrock client. Okay, then API gateway client. Okay, so whenever the message is sent from the end user, okay, so that message is handled by this lambda. Okay, so we invoke Bedrock client here. We forward this whatever the text is received, so we forward this text to Bedrock model. Okay, so we use invoke model call, and we get the response. So this message is processed by model and we got the response, and then this response is usually large, right? So we receive this response in chunk and store in temporary buffer, and once all response is available, so we convert that response into standard string format, and then at the end we are loading into JSON. So my response is available in response body variable, and then from this JSON I'm extracting this result field value and storing into AI response variable, and then I'm invoking API gateway client to send that response to end user. Okay, so I will copy this code. Okay, my 3 lambdas are ready. Now next step is to create DynamoDB table. Tables, create table. My table name is WebSocket connection. My partition key is connection ID, and then I will simply create table. This takes some time. Okay, so table got created. Now next step is to create API gateway. So in the API gateway we have different options like WebSocket API, REST API, right? So we'll go with WebSocket API, build, provide some name, WebSocket API 01. We'll use same route selection expression, request dot body dot action. Now we'll define route, so we'll go with the same like connect, disconnect and default route. Next we need to provide integration for this route, so my integration will go with the Lambda in the region. So for the connect I will use connect Lambda. For disconnect I will use disconnect Lambda, and for default I will use my send message Lambda. So I need to provide a stage for API gateway, so we can provide any name. I will use production as a default. Review these details and then create and deploy. So my API gateway got created. Okay, so now let's go back to Visual Studio. Okay, so using ChatGPT I have created this simple HTML page. Okay, I will upload this in my repository and URL will provide in video description. Okay, so we need to update this WebSocket API endpoint in HTML. So let's copy that. My setup is ready. One thing I forgot to mention is that we are using Amazon Titan model, so you can use any model whatever you want. You can go to Bedrock UI, in the catalog option you will see different providers are there, and you can choose any model which you want, and once you open that model you will get all the detail about that model, right from the provider, the version, release date, and here you can see this model ID. So you can copy this model ID and paste it in function, and then also you will get this sample request format if you want to make API request to this model. Okay, let's go back to our demo. So here as I mentioned, this HTML page I have created with ChatGPT. I will open this page on browser. Alright, so here you can see there is connect button, disconnect button and send button. If I click on connect, so this has created socket connection in background with API gateway. I will send message, hi. Yeah, I got the response. So flow is my browser has WebSocket connection with API gateway. API gateway invokes send message Lambda. Send message Lambda invoke Bedrock model, and it gets the response and send back that response to browser through WebSocket. Now I will click on disconnect. So my socket connection got disconnected and the entry from DynamoDB also removed. So that was all about Bedrock chat agent using WebSocket. Thank you.